Hey, I'm Bob Spicer with Lake TV.
And I'm William Holtz with Lake TV. And our Lake of the Ozarks is many things, boring not one of them.
That's right. Every summer the lake becomes the third largest city in Missouri.
Millions of visitors from across the nation come to stay and play at the country's favorite recreational lake, and that makes for some very interesting stories.
It does, and they range from interesting to bizarre and even sometimes tragic. So we turn to the lake storytellers, lakeexpo.com. They put together some of the biggest stories of the year.
So here's a look back at some of the most talked about stories from 2019 at the lake, from the good, the bad, and everything in between. Get ready, Netflix is about to release season 3 of Lake famous series Ozark. And that may be award-winning television, but some local folks here at the lake feel like it's been a pretty one-sided picture of the lake we all love. So another award-winning show put a much different spotlight on the lake back in November. Now, with the support of the Tri-County Lodging Association, Missouri Live TV came to Lake of the Ozarks. The series is now in its 5th season, featuring interesting places and communities across the state we love here in Missouri. Of course, you can't experience everything at Lake of the Ozarks in just 30 minutes, but the crew at Missouri Live TV gave a great picture of why the lake life is the good life and why this lake truly is the Midwest playground.
This next story is kind of a strange one. There's a special connection between a boy and his dog, and when a Kansas City boy's dog was stolen at a lakefront bar, the lake community wouldn't stand for it. Story of the stolen dog quickly spread across the lake, and everybody had their eyes open for the dog, who was named Scaredy Poo. Okay. The boy's uncle Shane is a bounty hunter by trade, but unfortunately, as far as we know, the dog was never found.
Back in April, Debbie Joy stopped on the side of Business 54 in Lake Ozarks. She was hoping to help a woman and a child in distress, but what she ended up getting was a trip to the hospital. Debbie had stepped between the woman and an enraged 10-year-old child. The boy reportedly hit her in the head with a board, knocking Debbie unconscious. Now, the story went viral as the community rallied in support for Debbie and worried for the future of the child. Debbie was hospitalized, but she did recover, and the boy was taken into juvenile detention for psychiatric evaluation.
See? The cliffs of insanity!
Admit it. You've driven along the new stretch of Highway 54 in Osage Beach and thought, I wonder what would happen if those cliffs collapsed. Well, on December 1st, we found out. Known by some as the Cliffs of Insanity, a rock wall collapsed onto Highway 54 after dark. It scattered debris across both lanes of the highway, and only the left lane was even usable. Thankfully, nobody was seriously hurt, but at least one vehicle was damaged when it crashed into the rocks. It was one of the biggest stories of the year from the lake, and likely had a few drivers watching those cliffs suspiciously for a while as they passed by.
Some people fish for pleasure, some people fish for food, but twice a year at Lake of the Ozarks, thousands of anglers go fishing with one thing on the top of their mind, and that's to get rich. At the Big Bass Bash, you're fishing for cash. The grand prize for the biggest fish of the weekend is actually $100,000. That's enough for, well, a new fishing boat, right?
This next story is about Truman Dam. A study from the Army Corps of Engineers released in March rated Truman Dam as, quote, potentially unsafe. The Corps said the dam is structurally sound, but there was a slight risk that extremely heavy flooding could cause problems. If the dam were to be overtopped by flooding, that could damage the structure, and the Corps said if the dam broke, it would be catastrophic. 90,000 people, $11 billion in land property would be at risk. Some people dismiss the entire initial coverage of this story as nothing more than alarmism, but others were paying attention, and the story spread throughout the lake community, both here and throughout the Midwest. Then, only a few months later, Mother Nature reminded us that anything is possible. Truman Lake had reached its capacity. Water was near the top of the dam. Historic flooding forced dam operators to open the floodgates, send water to flood it across downstream. The Corps said the actions were precautionary and necessary to ensure public safety. The flooding was a kind of a sobering reminder that nature doesn't play by our rules.
This next story is a wild one, and although it didn't actually take place here at the lake, the story of an overeager snake in the Arkansas Ozarks was one of the most viewed stories at LakeExpo.com this year. It came from a member of the Facebook group dedicated to sharing photos and stories from the Ozarks. Keith Wadeau was at War Eagle Mill, which is near Fayetteville in the Ozark Mountains. Now, he noticed a midland water snake at the edge of the stream wiggling its tail out of the water. So naturally, he grabbed his camera and caught an amazing series of photos. Now, the snake was fishing using its tail as a lure and attracted a nice-sized Kentucky bass. So check this out. Now, the snake quickly slides into the water and then it comes up with the fish. But that wasn't the end. The snake soon realized it was going to have a hard time gulping down the big fish. Now, it literally bit off more than it could chew. So eventually, Keith said the snake gave up on dinner and let the fish go, and both fish and snake swam away.
This next one is kind of a serious story. The second major storm of the spring produced a tornado that ripped through the heart of Eldon on May 22nd. The F1 twister was measured with wind speeds of 104 miles an hour. That's according to an estimate from the National Weather Service. And it only got stronger. The tornado cut a 19-mile path to the northeast for nearly an hour. By the time it hit Jeff City, the tornado was an F3 and it laid waste to many streets in Missouri's capital. A viral video taken by a woman near Eldon offered a glimpse of the tornado on the horizon, lit up just for a moment by a flash of lightning. Take a look.
Springtime thunderstorms are infamous at Lake of the Ozarks, and it seems like there's always one that leaves second homeowners scrambling to check if their dock or home were damaged. High winds are ruthless. Well, this year there were two windstorms. The first one was over almost as soon as it started. Wind gusts reportedly hit 60 miles per hour as the storm ripped through the lake area. Now, some people reported seeing water spouts. Trees were blown over, a dock was flipped, and then it was done.
In a story that made national news, a powerboat plunged through the roof of a dock on Lake of the Ozarks. The dramatic crash happened on July 3rd, which is, of course, one of the busiest weeks of the year. The driver was hospitalized with serious injuries. Meanwhile, the story and photos of the crash spread across the country. Our best guess is that people were struck by the bizarre image, a powerboat suspended between water and sky, stuck in the roof of a dock. Well, if you're wondering how they got it out, a little Ozarks ingenuity and a barge did the trick.
So that's our top 10 from 2019.
Kind of a bit of an emotional roller coaster, wasn't it?
Bob, it was. Of course, they do say the fun is in the journey. So folks, buckle up for 2020. It's gonna be a good one.
And from all of us at LakeExpo.com and Lake TV, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all year long.